I want to give you a small church history about, I said something about Arianism, where some people said that Jesus was created and all that. And I don't even know where to start from now. Now, there was trouble in Jerusalem. Long story. There was a lot. I've taught you before. A lot of. Now, years ago, many decades ago. So Christians, they ran to Antioch. But before they actually ran to Antioch, there was a king in Antioch. The king was sick. And then he sent for Jesus. Do you get? But Jesus did not. Jesus said he was going to send somebody to him. So when Jesus died and resurrected, he sent someone to the king. And then the king was healed and then all that. So the king was healed. And as the king was healed, when Christians came to Antioch, and then when the king was healed, Christians came to Antioch, it became the city of Christians. We had many Christians in Antioch. And then later the king died. You know the story of Joseph, how that when Pharaoh died, another person came into it. So the king died, and then he went back to normal. They started persecuting Christians again. But then again, there was this particular king who had like about 4 children thereabouts. And then when the king died, one of the children is Constantine. Very wicked. So he fought his other brothers. He was fighting. He wanted to take the full kingdom from them. I'm telling you, church history old. He wanted to take the full power. He was a very powerful person. He wanted to take the full power from them. So while he was preparing to go and fight, he had a dream. And in the dream, according to him, he felt like the Christian God appeared to him. And the Christian God told him to make a sign of the cross on all their sword, their fighting stuff. And then he made a sign of the cross on it. Made the sign of the cross, he went for the battle and he won. That's how he became a Christian, according to him, in quotes. Now, he now made, there was persecution on Christian before. Since he was in charge, he won the battle. Then Antioch now became what? A Christian city again. Many Christians were coming. Then he enacted something. You must pay attention to it. It's called the Edict of Milan. He enacted something called the Edict of Milan. That was why, that Edict of Milan means that Christians cannot practice their worship without anybody persecuting them. Christians cannot do what? Practice without anybody doing what? Persecuting them. Now, nobody was persecuting Christians anymore. I'm just giving you a summary. This is a summary. Nobody was not persecuting Christians anymore. Christians were doing all their things. But Christianity, at every time where there is rest, we find argument. Now, there's now major argument again on Christians. They were not arguing about doctrine. What I'm telling you is true life story. Many years ago. Arguing about doctrine. Jesus is God. This is what I'm teaching. There's an argument that came along. Jesus is not God. Jesus is God. So, he now called all of the top leaders there. There were about 1,800 people were called, but only 200 came. Because according to history, it was said that some people were afraid of him because he's a tough man. So he called, instead of us fighting, doing all of this thing, let's come together. Are you getting it? Let's come together and, and have one faith. He was looking for the unity of the faith, according to him. So many people did not show up, but many people showed up. That gathering is what they call the Council of Nicea. It's called Council of what? Nicea. The discussion they had there, the major discussion they had, the one discussion they had was about the deity of Jesus, that Jesus is God. Some people came and said Jesus is not God. So he called everybody together. And this particular guy came up. His name is called, I've forgotten his name now. His name is called Iros. I-R-U-S. That Jesus was not God, but he created me. Iros argued that Jesus was not God at the Council of Nicea, that Jesus was not God, was created, but everybody, they refuted him. In fact, the major person who refuted him, I think it was Alexandra of Alexandria. They refuted him and said he's lie. Jesus is God. They brought out scriptures to show that Jesus is God. Of course, he went a separate way. He was called heretic and all that, and there was discussion, the major deity of Jesus. Now, those who believed Jesus was God, they were called homologious. Those who did not believe, they were called heterologious. heterologious. So I've said all this to say that our faith is a faith that have history and tradition. You cannot just come up now and start saying something that has not been said before. In fact, let me tell you, there's nothing anybody will teach now that has not been taught before. If you hear anybody teaching anything that has not been taught before, is in 2 categories. Either is a brilliant person, which I doubt, or is into heresy. There is nothing that the Bible is saying now that the Bible did not say 2,000 years ago. So if you are making the Bible to imply what it did not imply over 2,000 years ago, meaning you are in error. I brought all of these stories to show you that our faith is a faith that have what? That have history. It's not just something that just comes. So the deity of Jesus and those who argue to it that Jesus is not God is something in Council of Nicea, where people had the errors, argued to it that Jesus is not God, and they refuted him. They called him heretic. So anybody towing that part, saying that Jesus is not God, you are towing the part of Eros. Eros, whatever they call it. Because the Council of Nicea, they agreed to it. There are people now argue and say that it was from the Council of Nicea that they brought up the doctrine of Trinity. No, the doctrine of Trinity has always been scripture. What happened at the Council of Nicea is just them making you to see the doctrine from scripture. Are you getting it? Many people argue that it was from there they brought it out. No, it was not from there. The Council of Nicea only made you to see the deity of Jesus, not that they are the one who brought it out. No, it has always been in scripture. The apostles taught it. Jesus showed that he is God. So if anybody comes up and says Jesus was created, is what? Heretic. If anybody comes and says that Jesus is not equal, is not God, heretic. So we saw that all of this happened. Our faith is a faith that has history. You see from the Council of Nicea, what I explained, that it is what they saw from scripture that they brought out to teach. They are not the one who conjure it together. No, it's in scripture. They just made us to do what? To see it.